it's just not gonna pay the bills the way I need them to, you know? At least not yet. Anyway, God can surely make a way. Amen. Hey everyone, and welcome in. My name is Tolu, and on this channel, I make faith-based videos to encourage you as you fight the good fight of the faith daily. Today, we are honestly just going to be taking a walk through my brain because I have kind of been going through it lately. And I feel like I can confidently say that I'm going through my quarter life crisis at this time. Yep. Yeah. While I wish that none of y'all were experiencing this as well, I know for a fact that I am not the only one feeling the way I am feeling right now. And so I figured that today I would make this video to create some space for us to feel this thing out, okay? And I also want to share some verses with y'all that have been really encouraging me as I navigate this season. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. So for me, I think the start of my QLC, my quarter life crisis, heavily coincided with me starting to feel unhappy with my job. I currently have a corporate job working 9 to 5 at a tech company. And before we go further, I know that I am extremely privileged to even have a job right now. I know that there are so many people who have been laid off or are really struggling to find a job. And so to have a job right now is a privilege. Like, I recognize that, okay? But that actually kind of adds to my QLC even more because, I know I should be appreciative and grateful for my job, but I actually kind of dislike it, like, a lot, and I want to quit, like, yesterday. So what makes this even trickier is the fact that what I do for work right now is very closely related to what I spent 5 years going to college for. And so now I'm like, if I'm not feeling this anymore, one, what did I spend all that time and money getting that degree for? And two, what on earth am I supposed to do now? You know what I'm saying? Quick word of advice to anyone getting ready to go or already in college. Please pursue something that you are actually passionate about and not just something that you feel is a safe bet and will pay well once you graduate. Like, yes, you will, get paid well, but you might also end up hating every second of your job and end up going through a quarter life crisis like me, okay? Sorry, that was dramatic. But now, if I'm being honest with myself, what makes this even harder is the fact that now I've grown accustomed to a certain lifestyle that a tech job has afforded me. And I know that if I were to, quit my job tomorrow and pursue what I'm actually passionate about, which is stuff like this, sharing my faith, creating content, traveling, like, it's just not gonna pay the bills the way I need them to. At least not yet. Anyway, God can surely make a way. Amen. And even if I did want to find another job right now, the job market is not looking too hot right now. Like, I can't even tell y'all how many rejection emails I have in my trash folder. Like, it's really rough out here. And I live in California, and living in California is not a joke. Like, things are expensive in a different kind of way out here. And so now I'm like, do I need to move out of this state? Which, is a very scary thought. I have only ever lived in California. I grew up here, and the other states in the US don't really have the same appeal to me, like, no offense. And so if I were to move, I have been thinking, like, it most likely might have to be a move out of the country, which is absolutely crazy. Like, y'all, my lease ends in a couple months, and I have no idea what I'm gonna be doing after that. I've honestly started to feel like I have no idea what I'm doing with my life or where I'll end up, which I know sounds very dramatic, but is for real, like, where my head is right now. Like, are y'all starting to see how all over the place my mind has been lately? And now to add a whole nother layer on top of this, in all my contemplating and all my planning, like, I really want to make sure that I am not being the Lord of my own life, I always want to make sure that I am being obedient to God and doing things His way and not my way. Right? Like, I don't want to quit my job and move to a new city and start a whole new life if there are still things that God wanted to do with me where I'm at. And so that has been a little confusing and frustrating to navigate too. I feel like as I've been praying and asking for guidance, God has just been a little quieter than I would like him to be. And so I have been, prayerfully navigating, taking steps of faith while also trying not to, disobey God or move outside of his will. But that's why I'm so grateful for what we talked about in one of my last videos, in that as we continuously acknowledge God in all we're doing and in all we want to do, he will help and make our path straight. Even if I do, like mess up and quit prematurely and move to the wrong city when I'm not supposed to, I trust that, God can, one, redirect me if necessary, and two, work things together for my good and for his glory. This is straight from Romans chapter 8, verse 28, which is the first verse that I want to encourage y'all with today. It says, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose." I know I personally struggle sometimes in understanding how this uncertain and kind of frustrating season can be turned around and used for my good. But then, I realize that it's not my job to understand how it's gonna all work out, but it's just my job to trust God that, he will do what he says he's going to do. This leads me to the second verse I want to encourage y'all with today, which is Joshua chapter 1, verse 9, which says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." This verse is always so encouraging to me. I even have it as a sign above my toilet. But imagine how bold and courageous we would be if we remembered at every moment that God is right there with us. Like whether I stay at my job and stay in California or I quit my job and move to South America. Like, God is never going to leave me. He is always with us. I wish I could say that it's always easy for me to live my life as if I acknowledge and understand this, but that is definitely not the case. Fear definitely creeps in, doubt definitely creeps in, the state of the economy and the status of my bank account creep in, you know what I'm saying? Life can be really intimidating sometimes, and I feel like I have been trying to latch on to safety and stability in a sense, and have gotten stuck in a place where God's like, there is so much freedom available to you, like I will always be with you. That is one thing I really love and appreciate about God. You can always rely on his steadfastness and the consistency of his nature. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 8, which is our third verse for today, says, "Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever." While I might be changing and my situation might be changing, God is who he always was and always will be. In the same way that he provided my job for me and a roof over my head in the past, he can provide again because he is the provider. And in the same way that he has been such a good father to me my whole life, he is never going to change. That's why when things, don't seem to be adding up and you're really not sure how life is going to unfold in a favorable way, given what your current situation is looking like, that's when you about verses like Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5, which says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding." It might not be within my realm of comprehension to understand how God's going to do what he's going to do. God doesn't move within the parameters that we've set on this earth. Like, he is able to make a way where there was no way, okay? I'm talking to myself especially when I say this, but let's try to not put any parameters or limits or boundaries around what God can do. Like, there is truly nothing that is impossible for God to do. Okay, so for this last verse, verse number 5, I have found myself repeating it over and over in my head lately. And I feel like it first challenges you and then encourages you. I think for me, money and, either the desire to have more so I can be financially free, or the fear of not having enough so that I can live the life that I want to live, has really been playing a huge part in my quarter life crisis. And I have had to check myself a few times as it relates to my thoughts about money lately. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 5 says, "Keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have. For he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you." So we can confidently say, "The Lord is my helper, I will not fear. what can man do to me? I know it can be hard to not fall into, the rat race for more money. It's what runs our world, and the more of it you have, the better your life can be, right? But I want to remind y'all that money cannot buy true happiness, as cliche as that might sound. And even if you don't have the fattest bank account on the block, you do have the God of the universe on your side. And he has said that he'll never leave you or forsake you. That's more valuable than the maximum amount of billions that you can ever have, in my opinion. So let's try to not be too obsessed with the dollar signs, okay? I hope these verses continue to encourage you as you navigate this confusing and uncertain season that is your quarter life crisis. I want you to know that you are not alone in this season. I am right there next to you, experiencing all of the emotions, okay? But I am so excited to see how God will turn this around for our good and for his glory. Let me know in the comments down below which area of your life you feel like has you in crisis mode right now. Is it your job like me? Maybe it's a relationship. I would love to pray alongside you about it. Until next time, let's keep fighting the good fight of the faith, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!